This is Crew Tales, Life in the Circus. In the motion picture world, there are an army of dedicated professionals who work behind the scenes to make the movies and shows we watch today. I'm Brad Hodson, and I've spent over 30 years in the motion picture industry. This podcast celebrates the people who make the magic behind the scenes. Neil McBride.
Hi.
Welcome to the circus.
Thank you for having me.
Describe in your own words what you do.
Well, sir, I am a boom operator. I carry a boom pole, which is a long stick with, which extends a telescopic pole, if you will. It's got a big microphone on. I hold it above the actors so I can help our sound mixer record the dialogue for the scenes. So while you're doing your magic and getting their lovely faces, I am also helping record their dialogue.
So a fairly integral part to the movie making process.
Oh, we are a major ingredient in the recipe of film.
People don't take into consideration how important sound can be. And I'm not talking just music, but good sound can make or break.
Completely. Watch, weren't you guys talking about a certain Christopher Nolan movie before I got here? Because I'm sure we all know what it is, but there's scenes which blew me away. But anyway, this is going out to the whole world, isn't it? Anyway, love your work, Mr. Nolan. Love to work on the next project. But there's movies out there where I find, because like you, I'm sure we all got in the same industry because we love the film industry. If it sounds terrible, it completely throws you off, because if someone gets a little soft, you can live with it. But if someone suddenly sounds terrible or you can't hear what they're saying, it really throws you out. Absolutely.
And describe a little bit about your journey to get to where you are as a boom op just now.
Okay. Been in the film industry since mid-90s. Have family in the film industry, which helped me get in there. Nepotism. And then as I was growing and the film industry was growing in Vancouver, luckily I got in at a time where our union, IATSE Local 891, helped the position I was in. So I originally was at grip and focused on dolly gripping because I love being on set. I love being part of the action. I love being part of the scenes. I love being there with the talent in front of the camera and behind the camera. And I used to sit there and look at the boom operator and be like, I want to do what that guy does. He looks so cool. There was one in particular who I always thought was just like the coolest guy. And I was like, I want to be with that guy. I want to be who
never
that guy
heard
is.
that before. I've never heard someone say boom op is ridiculous.
I know, but I was like, that guy looks awesome and I want to do what he's doing. And I love gripping. I still grip. It's great. There's a great group of grips in town. They're all very talented and hilarious and wonderful people. But I just wanted a new direction. And I wanted to be that guy. So I talked to the union. We talked about second categories, and luckily I could transfer over and just start accumulating your days, accumulate your hours. And then it worked out. I got in. I had friends in the sound department who were like, you should come join us because we're a pretty small department. We need people. And the fact that I had a dolly gripping background, I think helped me because I kind of knew lens sizes and I knew camera movement. And I knew that if I was a boom operator, I could cheat and know cheats that cameras were doing, because I'll do that. I'll wait for a camera to move before I make a move, because we can all flow and blend together at the same time. So I think it definitely benefited and helped me getting into being a boom guy. And now I'm just like one of the best in Vancouver, if not the world.
Absolutely. No,
so thank you, everyone. Thank you.
What are some of the things that are good about your job, and some of the things that are maybe not so good about your job?
Definitely, for me, one of the benefits is still being part of the action. You're right in there, interacting with camera, interacting with the talent, which is for me great too, because like I said, grew up wanting to get in this industry because I wanted to be behind the camera, but I I love actors. That's, they make the mojo, and they make, if I can get a chance to talk to them and interact with them, it's great. So that was a total con for me. A pro, sorry. Some of the cons, when it rains, I have to stand out there all by myself with my arms in the air as the rain just billows down the sleeves. So you find out ways, Brad, to keep the core dry so that the funnels of water pouring down your arms don't destroy your entire day when you're out there for 14 hours. But, you get, we have headphones on, and sometimes you get nice, sharp, piercing noises and stuff like that through it. So that can be a pain. And we joke that we're all deaf. We're not, but it's the funny thing because we're supposed to be in sound and be able to hear, but we're all like, what? I can't hear you. Sorry.
Selective hearing.
Yeah. So selective and actual hearing loss, but that's just a joke.
A lot of people don't realize in the movie industry that it's not just the boom op, but you also have to put microphones on actors in certain situations.
Yes.
Can you describe a little bit a day in the life when you would do that, or when boom is always used no matter what, correct?
Yeah.
Even if the
most of the time, like 98% of the time, it's there. And
two actors in a car, for example, you're not sitting in the back seat with your boom pole.
No, I've tried.
Yeah.
And, and there are times where they're like, okay, well, we're just doing sideys now, so can you get in there? You're like, no, I have a giant microphone. But I did a show entirely in a car, and I boomed the snot out of it because it was all perimeter shots. So we pulled off the roof, and for lighting, and I could just sneak in there. So it was wonderful. Yes, I definitely, when you start in the industry, you'll start off at, there's certain positions. There's three positions: sound assistant, boom operator, sound mixer. Sound assistant, boom operator, sound mixer.
I think the mic picked up all those.
I know, that's why. I looked over and I thought, that's too loud. So being a sound assistant, and even a couple of days ago, I filled in as a sound assistant. I got to microphone two major stars, and it was a little nerve-wracking because you're nervous because they're primetime actors, but you're also get to interact with these fantastic people, and they were wonderful because 9 times out of 10, they're going to be wonderful. And because I've been doing it so long, I feel I'm quick and fast enough that I'm not going to sit there and take forever and poke and prod this individual who's going over 5 pages of dialogue in their head and not wanting to be disturbed. So you do your job professionally, you do it quickly, and you go, nice meeting you. They go, great, thanks. And it's fantastic. I have been told to F off and don't touch me. I've been told them all.
At work, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The funny thing that was just walking into this building. I had an actor just say, "Don't even touch me." Just cussed me out for saying, "Can I put a microphone on you now, sir?"
I can do my own sound, thank you.
Yeah. And
stunts and sound.
Yeah. I've done it all, so get away from me.
Give me the mic and I'll do it myself.
Yeah. So, and not even that. It was like he just said, "Don't effing touch me," and I was like, "Okay." And then the guy beside him, who's got a much better resume, I was like, "Can I throw a microphone on you, sir?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, sure, go ahead." And I was like, "He's right beside you. Do you not see professionalism here?" But hey, what do I know? And then there's so you literally get up close and personal with some people, and then so there's also a lot of 2-person shows, lower budget, so you'll be booming and sound assisting. So you'll be throwing the wires on, then run on set, figure out the lighting, figuring out the camera shot and movement, and then you throw up the boom and get in there. And see my arms? That's what happens when you get into the boom world. You keep your arms slowly start coming over your head all the time.
You have to keep working out your arms.
It's true. It's true.
So there's more than one person in the sound department. Obviously, there's you as the boom op that's pointing the microphone to get the dialogue, but there's also a sound mixer. Really briefly, just kind of describe what a mixer does.
Sound mixer is the person who records all the dialogue and mixes.
Separate from what the camera records. Obviously.
Correct. Yes, sir. And it's their job to get all the individual tracks. And by tracks, I mean all the actors have little personal lavalier microphones on them. So the sound mixer will record all the dialogue and individual tracks, my boom, the amount of actors, and other things. Sometimes they'll throw in music, other things. So it's their job to collect all the information and deliver it to our bosses. And they do it masterfully, and they're all technically skilled and wonderful. And they'll go, Neil, what can you do here? And I'll be like, I can't get that actor, but I can get those two actors over there. And they'll go, great, you focus on those two, and I'll get that person on their little personal microphone, and we'll blend it all together and create this great mix. And that's what they do.
And sometimes I've been on shows where there's been a second boom op.
Yes, I've done that too, where a perfect example, huge dinner table scene, 12 to 15 actors sitting at a table. Here's your dialogue. Here's my dialogue. You get that side of the table. I'll get this side of the table, and you'll maybe cross. The boom operators will figure out their plan of attack and mow down the scene. So it's great. I love doing it too, because like we were saying at the beginning, it's our job to try to get the best sound for each scene in each project. And the big microphones are a much better product than the tiny little lavaliers. But sometimes you need that little tiny lavalier because someone will be too far away or whatever. And the microphones, the little ones, have gotten so much better. And but the big microphones are still thousands of dollars because they're a great, better product. So we use what we can for each scene.
And in case anyone out there who doesn't know, this is part of sound is why we see the slates all the time, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's to sync up.
Yep. We sound will put out a time code. So we syncing up the cameras, we're syncing up the sound, and we're syncing up the sound and the cameras together, the slates. And that's all an editing thing. So they can all go back and go, okay, this time, this was the time that it all worked out. And it's just to keep everything in sync and helps the editors big time.
Since the camera's not recording sound, you're recording sound separately as a department.
Correct.
The slap of the slate allows that moment to be able to sync that up along with the time code.
Correct.
Splendid.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that, sir. You did that beautifully. Much better than me.
What are some of the challenges in, not just as a boom op, but in the sound department? Because obviously you don't live in a vacuum. There's probably outside sources where you have to.
Yeah. Get ready for this, boys. Locations. Because sometimes we will literally shoot on the top of a hotel 10 feet away from a giant air duct, vent duct, compressor. And they're like, sorry, this is where we're shooting because we want that background. You're like, but there's a giant vent right there blowing out huge amounts of noise. And they're like, but we're shooting that. So we're going to shoot here. Okay. And you adapt and you figure out how you can still get the best sound out of your location. And I've shot in, you may have even been there when we were shooting in the basement of the giant factory, the waste management factory in Richmond, in Delta. Anyway, in the basement of a factory with huge compressors and machinery and everything so loud. But we just do the best we can to try to mute out as much as that exterior noise to get the goods, get the juice, get as much of that dialogue clean as we can.
And like you said earlier, your microphones aren't cheap. They're very, very expensive. Yeah. And I would assume that helps out a lot too, right?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Because it's, you have a cheaper microphone. It sometimes can make or break you, and microphones have their own skills, their own individual, not skills, but personalities. There's the shotgun, there's, laser point one, there's stereo mics that they all have their own traits. And the mixer, who 9 times out of 10 has most of the gear. If I show up on a show, I'll be using the mixer's gear. They'll know what they have in mind for that specific shot or that specific location we're shooting at. And then we boom some magic, get in there, shoot with the cameras, and we do the dance together with the actors, and we create a a magical pizza with all that delicious ingredients on top, which is you and I.
Pizza.
So,
Man. So when you watch a movie at home,
yeah,
you probably don't watch it like anyone else does. What when you watch a movie, what do you see that affects you in your craft?
well, you pay attention to the sound, that's for sure. But also, like we were talking about, you get seeing this, if you get the little black invader coming in through the top, weep, you're like, oh, there's a little marshmallow came through the top there. Or like we were discussing, shadows on walls and stuff like that, which is too bad because I'm like, this is a really good show, but I keep looking at that shadow on the wall and it's taking me out of it. But 9 times out of 10, the average Joe's not going to care or notice that shadow. But yeah, I think my wife, she's a film technician too. She's a head of department makeup artist. She's very skilled and very wonderful at her job. And when we watch films together, it's almost like we have to watch it twice. Once just to enjoy, and the second time we pick it apart. Or the first time we pick it apart and we're like, okay, we picked it apart, but it was good. So let's rewatch it and actually turn off our technician brain and just enjoy what we just saw.
Right. What I admire about the people that I've come across throughout my 30 years in the business is everyone seems to have the same purpose, and that is to do the best they possibly can to get, even if it's over the top. It's like, well, we don't need to be that fastidious about things, but yeah, we do, because it's our reputation. It's what we pride ourselves in doing.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, 9 out of 10 people don't see these things, but we do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we take pride in our work.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any movies or TV shows that whether it's good sound or not, that are some of your favorites? Something that really you always fall to?
Well, thanks to streaming, I have become I fought it for you. I'm that guy. I'm like, I don't need to watch it. Everyone's watching that. I'll watch it later. And The Office. It's so simple, but it's funny because I enjoy the writing and the humor of it and the way it's shot and the fact.
Which one?
The American.
Okay.
Yeah, but the British one is absolutely fantastic. I want to revisit that because Ricky Gervais is so good and he's just so cringy. You're just like, this is uncomfortable.
Absolutely. I can't watch it sometimes.
Yeah,
it's just the way he portrays that character.
Yeah.
Even though it's all a farce, it's just hard to watch.
It's so cringy. But recently I am actually going from the beginning to the end of all the Star Trek films right now. So I just finished Star Trek 5 last night.
How's the sound on those?
It's gotten better every movie, and it's quite funny watching the aging of our 3 leads there, Jim, Spock, and Bones. But when people are like, you got to watch this, I'm like, yeah, I will. But I'm 51. Like my favorite stuff, I for some reason, the 80s is my genre. I watched Lone Wolf McQuade about 2 months ago because I was like, I need to see some Chuck Norris. I haven't seen Chuck Norris stuff in a while. And it was magical.
Yeah.
So, and because of that, though, it's also funny watching it technically because you're like, wow, this is terrible. Not terrible. It's great. But just how it was done back then and how it is done now. It's so interesting because, you've got Chuck Norris in a Bronco, which is buried under 8 feet of dirt, and just the lighting of it and how I was like, how did they shoot this? Like, did they literally just like throw a bunch of dirt on a window and black it out and have half the chuck cut off so they could slide the camera in there? Or was it all handheld? I love it. And that's the thing is, I appreciate how film has evolved technically, the way it's been shot, stuff like that. Like, I was watching an Alfred Hitchcock movie, and the sound in it is so, because it's clearly shot in an old school studio, and clearly it's big microphones in the air, and it's the big long shotgun microphones, so they're zeroing in on them, and they're 20 feet in the air, and just loud shoes walking over everyone's dialogue and stuff like that. So, and the echo but it's great because back then it was state of the art and brand new and top notch, and it still holds. They're still wonderful, but it's different. And I appreciate the history of how it's changed over the years. Like I need to do House of Dragons. I need to, because I was late on Game of Thrones. I fought it. I was like, I don't need to watch that. Everyone's watching it. No. And then I watched, I'm like, this is amazing. Why haven't I been doing this? So I need to do House of Dragons. And what else? My wife was on Superman and Lois. I need to watch more of that because everything she told me about it, I was like, that's actually really cool, because I'm a comic book guy. And I was like, well, does Bizarro look like this? And she was like, yeah, he does. And you might actually see my wife on here one time. She actually helped use my face to design Bizarro. And I was like, so. But
that's a testament to your wife, then.
Yeah.
Using your face for Bizarro.
I know. I was like, so technically I was the first Bizarro? No, I didn't say that. But yeah, what else am I watching? Brad, I'm pretty boring. I watch the news, I watch sports, and then some sitcoms and the YouTube world. The YouTube world has blown my mind. And my son watched nothing but YouTube. He's 16 now. He's been doing YouTube pretty hard the last 2 years. And I was just like, what are you watching? Like, guys watch playing video games? And now I'm just like, oh, did you see the donut car episode? And I'm going to send you it.
So you're diverse in your watching.
I'm very diverse.
You're not one of those, I got to watch purist films all the time.
No. Yes, I can do Turner Classics, or I can go and watch WrestleMania WWE channel.
Well, back to Turner Classics. I think it's important, especially for people who are coming up in the film industry, watch the classics, because two things I feel in the industry right now. One is when the writing is good, like Game of Thrones, for example, or any of those series, some of it, Breaking Bad, I binge watched that. And the writing just got better and better. Mm-hmm. And you love to see that. Mm-hmm. So having said that, things are great to watch these days, but also with the changing tides of our world, sometimes you can't do things anymore where you could 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So I encourage young up-and-comers, watch some of the stuff that happened 30 years ago. Good, bad, or ugly, at least that's what the climate was at the time.
Exactly. And that's perfect example. Lone Wolf McQuade. You're like, there's no way you can say that anymore, but there's no way you'd shoot that way again also. Yep. And just because the era of that project is a sign of the times at that individual time. So it's just interesting how you can watch a show and be like, oh, that's probably what the world was like back then too. And just like husband and wife dialogue from the 70s to husband and wife dialogue today. You're like, world of difference.
Yeah.
So
Chuck Norris shirtless.
Yeah. Right. Just like, honey, our daughter, just make sure she's okay. Sure. Turns around, leaves, and the wife gets shot, and he's like, that's too bad. Oh God, I got to get revenge. Like nowadays, we wouldn't go. Hopefully, something like that wouldn't be that extreme, and there'd be more character driven. Well, just the writing is 1,000 times better too, right? So
in some cases,
yes, exactly.
We're definitely in a diverse industry these days where you get the good, bad, and otherwise. But I mean, it's always been like that. It's what you choose to watch, I guess. Some people want to see a certain genre and they're fine with it.
Yep.
Personally, when I watch things, if I can't watch things, you lose me in the first 10 minutes of a movie, for example.
For sure.
If I'm not engaged in the characters, I'm out.
Yeah.
What other interests do you have outside of the industry, Neil?
Well, like I said, I like sports, so watching some sports. But I have a friend of ours. He and I are working on a YouTube project, child's books. I am reading and narrating them, called Sketch Whammy on YouTube, the Sketch Whammy channel. Wonderful product. You'll see me, Neil McBride, reading wonderful stories with Matt Blaine's fantastic writing, and his daughter, co-writer. So working on that project, my wife and I have started actually producing some shorts because we've reached an age now where we're doing what we've seen people do for years, which we always thought was great and cool. And we're like, look, why can't we do that? Let's try it. And especially the state of the world with YouTube and film festivals and technology. I have friends who've got cameras and lights, and we can go out and shoot a short. Someone write a script.
Podcast.
Or a podcast. Yep. Great idea. Podcast. We should look into that.
I'm all in.
Yeah. And so starting to work on some projects like that, which has been a lot of fun, had some success, gotten accepted into some film festivals, which is wonderful, surprising, and we're thankful for that. Have a baby, so a lot of diaper time right now. But
stay-at-home dad.
Stay-at-home dad.
There's a movie about that.
Yeah.
Several, actually.
Yeah. Throwback to Michael Keaton, Mr. Mom, 1981. Terry Garr, beautiful film.
One boom up and a baby.
One boom up and a baby. Yeah, exactly. So what else? That's about it. Working on projects. And we have the fact that I've done some producing 2 or 3 shorts. The word kind of got out, and now I have people like, hey, I'm going to work on something. Can you help? Or do you know what you could do to help? And I'm like, sure, whatever I can do to help. And for all you young up and comers up there, when you're making your short film, spend some money on sound, because they always sit there and go, I got this, I got camera, I got a location, I got actors. This is going to be so great. Oh, do you know anyone who does sound? And I go, I can help try to find someone for you. Sure. Do you have any money you could throw at them? Because even if you threw a little bit at them, because these people, these young, fresh out of school people who spent their good money buying sound equipment, which is not cheap, they definitely want the experience. But if you could throw them some money, that would definitely make your project more appealing to them and also help them out, because they're still probably paying their bills for their school and their gear. But I actually want to start going to film festivals and actually talk about that, because it's just like you said, you as a young individual, or as a new individual who's out and eager to make their first sound, or their first short film, and they go out and they shoot a great little short, but the sound is terrible. That's going to throw them, and they're going to sit there and go, oh, this sounds terrible, and it's going to bug them, and it might not get them into film festivals and stuff like that. So just think about sound in your budget. Try to squeeze in a little bit more money into that, because it definitely helps. Because when you're running through the woods with swords and goblins chasing you, and it sounds terrible, and you just hear, yeah, I totally got this. We got to get the sword over here, and then we'll get the shield.
Watch the mic.
Sorry about that. Respect the mic. Respect.
We don't have a boom op on this one.
Yeah. Is there a boom op around here? Oh yeah, sorry. That would be me. Sorry.
Well, you covered my last question on how. Anything else you want to give advice to people up and coming? Yes to audio. Yes to the sound department. And would you recommend it? And if so, any other thoughts on how they could get involved?
Yeah, I definitely push sound for sure. And luckily I've met a lot of new up and comers, and they're all wonderful people. And I'm happy, because I think the future is bright with sound. I'm becoming an old horse. I'm 51 now, so with a brand new baby. So, working till I'm 85. Can't wait. Thanks. But yeah, definitely. Sound is a great department to be part of. And it's there's a lot of great individuals in sound, and it's an integral part of the production. And it's great because it depends what aspect of the sound department you would like to get into. I love being a boom op because I know that I'm in the mix. And when I say in the mix, is I'm on the floor. I'm with my camera friends. I'm with the actors, whom some I've become friends with, and you're in the action. It's like, but there are people who that's not their thing, and they want to be on the side, and that's great. And that's what being a sound assist is. You do your job, you help, and you're on the perimeter. You're making sure stuff sounds okay. You're making sure fans are off. You're making sure air conditioning's off. You're always aware of things. You're watching the monitors to make sure once you've wired them that you don't see a wire sticking out or someone's got a bulge. Speaking of, look at this great t-shirt my wife got me here. It's a frog boom operator. That's right. She loves me. But sound is definitely a great department to be part of. Mixing is a whole different beast, but it's so fun. I've done some mixing. It's a lot of fun. So you've got the technical, you've got the interpersonal aspect of it, and you've got the excitement of it because you're right in the action. I've been out there with Ritter fans and leaves blowing at me and fire shot around me, and I love it. It's great. And I'm standing beside Steadicam operators, and we're bumping into each other and having a blast. So it's great. I highly recommend it.
Neil, thank you so much for joining us on The Circus.
Brad, it has been a pleasure. And I just want to give a shout out to my brother, Kevin McBride, who helped me get into the industry. He was a former Dolly Grip, my Uncle Fran, and my Uncle Michael, ADs and production managers. And my wife, Trish, who is a makeup artist, who we might see here one day.
We hope so. Yeah.
And thank you very much for having me. And I just want to say another great thing about film is I've been in it for close to 30 years. My people, my friends, so many of my world is film. It's who I'll do that again where I'm not scraping along the table. I've been in this. So I want to thank you, Brad, for having me. And I just want to say, because of film, I saw Star Wars when I was 6, and I said, that is what I want to do. I want to make something like that or be part of something like that. And I've achieved that. And because of it, I've met like-minded people, and we all share a common interest and a common goal. And they're all my friends now. And I love our industry because the hours are long, but you make friends, you create families, you create friendships that are lifelong. And, I've got friends that I've had for 20, 30 years, and I'm so happy about it. And, constantly meeting great new people and sharing and experiencing.
Thank you again so much, Neil. Well, that about wraps it up for another episode of Crew Tales, Life in the Circus. I'd like to thank our producers Dustin Schwinnard and Dustin Girton, as well as our technical producer Rob Hunt. I'm Brad Hodson. Thank you for joining us.